All right, let's get into 8 burning questions for Chris. Shane Baz, strong start against the Athletics. 7 innings, 7 hits, 3 runs allowed, 11 strikeouts with 20 whiffs on 90 pitches. And last 4 starts since introducing that cutter, he has a 2.67 ERA, 1 whip, 32 strikeouts over 27 innings. Chris, how much do you buy into this new version of Shane Baz?
Well, buying into Shane Baz has certainly never bit us, not within the last 3 months, let's say. So I don't see how this could go wrong. No, I think the fact that we are seeing a conscious change in Shane Baz's approach with this new cutter, it's a different version of him. What was interesting tonight was it kind of wasn't. He threw the cutter, I think, 14% of the time in this one. He had been more like 35 to 40%. He'd been leading with the cutter his previous 3 starts. And he did not today, but the command on the 4-seamer especially was just terrific. It was masterful. All up above the belt or higher in the zone. And that's what you're going to have to do if you're going to be, relying on a 4-seamer this much for whiffs. The nice thing that I like seeing, and this was what Shane Baz was struggling with early on the season, even when things were going well, is he was just throwing way too many pitches in the strike zone. It was like 56, 57% zone rate, according to Baseball Savant early on. Today it was 48%. And the problem is, look, you can get a lot of called strikes that way, but you need to miss bats. You need to put guys away. You just can't rely that much on called strikes. And he did generate chases in this one, 36%. That's also a very good mark for him. I'm still skeptical. It's really only like 2 great starts in the past 4, right? Because before that, one of them was bad, one of them was good, but it was like 4 walks and 6 strikeouts.
Yeah.
So it's really the last 2 where I think he's only walked 2. He's got 20 strikeouts. We're still dealing with a very small sample size here with Shane Baz, but it's been impressive enough that I can't imagine sitting him for whatever his next start is. I think I wrote that down earlier.
So he's in line for 2 starts next week at Detroit, at Boston. So
that's not great.
Yeah,
but I'm still gonna start him. Yeah,
I think so as well. Boston's coming around a little bit, but they still have so many young guys in the lineup that, they can be prone to striking out and things.
And no Kerry Carpenter for the Tigers certainly helps too.
Yeah, that helps, but
it's still a tough matchup.
They've been a pesky team, man, just all season long. Let's talk about Rafael Devers. Since joining the Giants, he is batting .204 with 2 home runs and a 37% strikeout rate. Still hitting the ball very hard, but lots of ground balls during the stretch. An adjustment period here, but Chris, how worried are you about Rafael Devers in San Fran?
The only reason I would be worried, and let me make sure. Okay, he has been dealing with a groin and back issue since getting to San Francisco. They revealed that today, and it hasn't been enough to keep him off the field, but it has kind of delayed their plans to get him, some reps at first base at least. And if you want to be cynical, maybe you can say that, he's exaggerating it, but given the performance, I think it makes sense that he's been so cold, and, the injury excuse certainly tracks there. So look, you're not sitting Rafael Devers. All-Star break's coming up. Hopefully that gives him a chance to get right. And I can't say I'm not worried at all, but his track record is so good, and he's been so good this season, that if he just had this 2-week stretch but he hadn't been traded, would we even notice? I don't really think so,
Yeah. What about Grant Holmes, who was awesome against the Angels? 6 shutout innings with 10 strikeouts, 27 whiffs on 106 pitches, 16 of those on the slider. Granted, he was facing the Angels. They have the second highest strikeout rate versus right-handed pitching this season, but he's been much better of late. It's 4 earned runs total over his last 4 starts. He has 2 double-digit strikeout outings during that span as well. 3 strikeouts per 9 innings. 2 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 strikeouts per 9 innings the question here, Chris, how high can we get Grant Holmes in the starting pitcher rankings? Because we all have him in that 50 to 55 range, but just going back to this kind of like just inside the top 40, I have Gausman and Bybee and Castillo and Flaherty, and thinking more about it, like, why shouldn't Grant Holmes just be in a similar range as those guys at this point,
I can't make a strong case against it. I have him 54th in my Roto rankings. I'm not sure. Probably higher in points, I would imagine, because he's RP eligible. The biggest thing is just his control's really bad. And it's been getting worse as the season's gone on. He has 18 walks in 31 and 2/3 innings over his past 6 starts, dating back to the start of June. That's the biggest thing holding him back. But the strikeout stuff is significantly better than I expected it to be. The slider is ridiculous. 16 whiffs with the slider.
Yeah.
In this one, that's only going to drive the whiff rate up. It was already 43% entering today, and the curveball's come along really nicely after a slow start. His fastball gets hit really hard. He doesn't get a lot of whiffs with it generally. The command is bad. I do wonder if he might not be better off like throwing the cutter more often instead of the four-seamer, but I don't know if he has the command for it. I think he's really good. I think he's limited. And so if you wanted to say that you rank Grant Holmes 40th, I wouldn't really argue with you. I think it's super fluid, and it has been for a long time. If you wanted to argue he was like, let me see. I've got like a lot of injured guys in the like 40-ish range, like Blake Snell and Hunter Green and Tyler Glasnow, Michael King, where we just don't really know. Chris Sale, I have no idea when all those guys are going to be back. So like, if you wanted to put him ahead of any of those guys, if you wanted to put him ahead of Kevin Gausman, I think that's perfectly reasonable. So I can see the case for Grant Holmes as a top 36 pitcher, even in Roto. And obviously I think in a head-to-head points league, it's even easier to make that case because he is RP eligible.
Michael Busch is doing his thing. 3 for 3 with a walk, run, and RBI. Last 7 games, he's hitting .391, 2 homers, 1 steal, 1092 OPS. Strikeout rate is down this season from 29% to 22%. He's hitting the ball hard. Expected stats look awesome. We know that there are limitations here because he doesn't play against left-handed pitching. Even with that, he's currently ranked as the 9th best first baseman in Roto, the 11th in head-to-head points. So, Chris, is Michael Busch just a top 12 first baseman the rest of the season?
This is another one where seeing him adjust to the adjustments had been really nice because remember, he had an awesome start to 2024. I don't have the exact numbers, 823 OPS in the first half, but it was like a mid-800s OPS through the end of June. And then he really fell off. Didn't have an OPS over 800 in any of the final 3 months of the season. So seeing him start off similarly hot in 2025, go through a big slump in May, and then come back out of it in June has been really encouraging. And obviously he starts off July with a good game. I don't think he's a top 12 first baseman. But it's a weak enough position after the first, 7 or 8 that, again, I'm not going to argue if you wanted to put him in the top 12. Would I trade him for Yandy Diaz? I think I'd rather have Yandy Diaz. Then we've got this like whole Paul Goldschmidt, Tyler Soderstrom, Spencer Torkelson, Jack Caglione.
That's the group that I think he's kind of surpassing right now.
I think he is right now, but if we talked about this 3 weeks ago, some of those guys looked ahead of him. So I think they're all pretty similar, and it's just who happens to be hot right now is the biggest differentiator. Yeah,
I think I still would take Torkelson. I know he cooled off in June. I would have Nick Kurtz ahead because he's been hot. Sure. Yandy Diaz.
I'd take Vinny P over him.
That's one too where Vinny P has been fine. Like the overall numbers have gotten up to I guess close to what we've expected, but still a little underwhelming. Yeah. I think Busch is in this mix, man. So for me, I have Kurtz and Yandy Diaz at 10 and 11. And then I think I'm going to move Aranda up a little bit. So I think 12 and 13 are like Aranda and Bush in some order. So I think he's right in that mix. Been really good. What about Gavin Williams? Another bad outing against the Cubs this time. Tough matchup. 5 2/3 innings, 4 runs, 4 more walks, only 2 strikeouts here, 10 hard hits. He has 3+ walks in 4 straight. He has 3+ walks in 9 of 17 starts this season. The strikeouts have been down lately as well. Still 86% rostered. Chris, can we drop Gavin Williams?
He is so frustrating, man.
Yeah.
That is now, did you say this? More walks than strikeouts in 3 of his last 4 starts?
I didn't say that in particular, but
that's really bad. I don't know. Because it started to look like he was figuring it out, because Gavin Williams has had this weird thing where going back to his rookie season, it was like 4-seamer, slider, curveball. He maybe threw an occasional changeup. Last year, it was 4-seamer, sweeper, curveball, and then he introduced a cutter. This year, he comes out just 4-seamer, sweeper, curveball, starts to work the cutter back in. In May, looks like he's really found the feel for the curveball. He's got like a legit 4-pitch mix with a lot of different looks. And then he falls back on hard times. And I don't know if it's ever going to happen for him. It's kind of Edward Cabrera-esque, right? Where
I was just going to say, why wouldn't we just take Edward Cabrera? It's a similar profile where you worry about the walks, but Cabrera's pitching so much better.
Cabrera's at least doing it right now. I guess the argument would be, one, Gavin Williams just has a better fastball. His whiff rate on his fastball is stronger than anything Cabrera's ever done. And then that sweeper's been awesome. 42% whiff rate. Cabrera doesn't have that kind of swing and miss pitch either. And then on top of that, the curveball has probably been comparable to Cabrera's best whiff pitch. So I think the aggregate parts are probably still, I think Gavin Williams is a better talent. But like you said, Gavin Williams is doing it right now. Or sorry, Edward Cabrera is doing it right now. So why not just take the guy who's hot? It's a good question that I don't have a good answer to.
5.1 walks per 9 for Gavin Williams this season, by far the highest among qualified starting pitchers. Yeah. Luis Ortiz is second at 4.3. That's nearly a whole walk per 9 innings. So, man, I think Gavin Williams is droppable at this point. Maybe
that's reasonable.
That comes back to bite me. I know he has prospect pedigree. There's no doubt that there's talent here, but just the inability to throw strikes has been so frustrating. So, for Edward Cabrera, I would make that swap.
It's honestly just like, it's just inconsistency all the way around. Because what you'll see with Gavin Williams is, okay, the command is consistently bad, consistently inconsistent. Let's say, he goes through some stretches where he's like an extension monster, and he's just way down the mound, and he's getting like 7 feet of extension. And there's other times where it's more like 6'6". And there are times when he's averaging 97 with his fastball. And then there's times when he's averaging 95. It really seems like he's searching. Cabrera has currently found it. So I think that's reasonable, yeah.
What about Willy Adames, who in 20 games since June 10th is hitting .275 with 5 homers, 15 runs, 1 steal, and OPS near .850. And the quality of contact is amazing during that time. So just wonder if there was a bit of an adjustment period, signs the big contract, the location, playing outdoors again in San Francisco. Would you be looking to trade for Adames now before the numbers kind of catch up to where they should be?
I think that's reasonable. I never wanted to give up on Adames, and I still kept him as a top 18 shortstop, which, given the strength of that position, is still pretty high. So I'm not terribly shocked that he's turned it around. And obviously I think he's better than, a 645 OPS or whatever he's at this season. So yeah, I think that's a decent idea. The only problem is the person who has Willy Adames on their team already knows that he started to turn it around, probably. It's possible that they just haven't been paying attention. They've just been frustrated. So, are you really going to be able to pull a fast one over on them. I don't know, but I think it's worth trying. Yeah, I do think he's a good middle infielder moving forward.
And somebody you might be able to trade for him is Matthew Boyd, who turned in another quality start, this one against the Guardians. 7 innings, 2 runs, 5 strikeouts, just 7 whiffs on 88 pitches here. There's no doubt that Matthew Boyd has pitched well. 2 earned runs or fewer in 7 straight. He's down to a 2.65 ERA and a 1.08 whip. He also has just a 9% swinging strike rate over his last 9 starts. Underlying numbers say he should be more like a mid to high 3s ERA guy. So I know you've been all over this one, Chris. I agree that I think Matthew Boyd is a sell high. I don't really know that you can get much for him in a trade, but you can try.
Yeah, that's the concern, right? It's just who is looking at Matthew Boyd having, 15 good starts and saying, now that's a guy I need on my team. I think most people are probably pretty skeptical of him. It is a 2.70-ish ERA since the start of last season, 136 or 137 innings. It's not a huge sample size, but maybe there is someone out there who sees that and thinks that Matthew Boyd is legitimately a sub-3 ERA pitcher. And look, if I could get Willy Adames, like you said, I would do that instantly and just figure out the pitching part of it. Just, go add Edward Cabrera and hope he stays solid. Might be Matthew Boyd's teammate soon. But yeah, I think Matthew Boyd is probably more like a 3.75 ERA guy, which is still useful. It's still a solid option, but not nearly as good as he's been, and probably not even a must-start guy.
Yeah, and the big difference between last year and this year, he had a 13.9% swinging strike rate last season, which is an elite mark. This season, it's down to 10.1% overall, and that's even before the start, where that number is going to just come down a little bit more as well. So, not to just downplay, like I think Matthew Boyd is a fine pitcher. You don't have to just sell him. I got to get this guy off my team.
It's not a drop.
Yeah, but if you can, if you could turn him into something valuable, then it's something I would look into doing. This last one, Corey Seager is waking up right now. Last 7 games, 346 batting average, 3 home runs, a 1269 OPS. Chris, there's no question here. It's just please go and try and trade for Corey Seager.
Absolutely. You should be trying to do that for sure.